Hey, we are live. It is always great. And yes, thanks for joining. We are just starting in a few minutes or seconds, I guess. Just want to set up the meeting. If you joined and can hear me, just ping me. I would love to hear if this is actually working. Um, yeah, thanks for joining. If you already joined, I really appreciate it. Seconds, I guess. Just wanna set up the meeting. If you joined and you hear me, just yes, good. It seems like at least the sound is working, which is always nice. Yeah, we are just starting in a few minutes. Hopefully you can see me, and I guess that's good. And the technique is working. And I didn't stop anything. I guess that's always a good thing. Yes! Sampa, thanks for hearing me, or being able to hear me. I don't know. And good. I think we can start. Hi. Great you could join. Let me see if I can actually see anything here. This is always a little fun. But yeah, it seems like you're joining now. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time here. So today I wanted to give some idea about what we are up to, what we have delivered with the Figaf tool and the latest release there. I did create hi, Jarek, a slide deck maybe to go through some of these different things, because there is a lot and I will need to remember all of these different things. So yes, great you could join, and let's get started. Yeah, if you have questions along the way, put them into the chat. I will probably go through some of these questions along the way, and it will totally mess up my script, but I guess that's almost much more fun. So we try to make these sessions a lot more interactive. So if any questions along the way, put them into the chat box or drop me an email or a direct message. Then we will cover those things. But yeah, thanks for joining. So let's just get started. So we got some nice looking presentations. So the first thing I wanted to cover that we have added is the ability to use let me see here, draw virtual background, is the ability to have Cloud Foundry support. And I think this is really crucial because obviously Cloud Foundry is the way SAP is moving with the CPI or API management, the Cloud Integration Suite. This is where all new customers will be. And I would assume that within 1 or 2 years, all other customers will be moving in that direction. Because, yeah, that's where all the developments is happening. We did see that in the latest, or maybe it's in this month update, it seems like all the updates is happening in Cloud Foundry. There's a new Camel versions and stuff like that. And let's see how that's gonna impact the rest of the thing. So we have implemented the support for it, and that means both for CPI and API management, we have like a common way to interact with these things, making it a lot easier to work with the content. And that's what this is all about, making it a lot easier to deliver SAP integrations. So yeah, it supports it. It works precisely as the new version of our tool does. It's the same version, that's just some different ways of authentication. And the biggest part is then in the Gradle plugins, we have also implemented the same authentication here, and that also enables us to fetch data there. So yes, let's see here. It looks okay. Yeah, I don't know how much I can say about it. It just seems to be working. Okay. So if we look at our Git repository, so one thing that we have changed here is that in the Gradle properties file, we now have a platform type that is called Cloud Foundry on Neo. So if you use one versus the other, then you can see it here. And then you obviously need your username and password here. You can then make modifications to a script. So let's just change this parameter. It's 10.2. We can upload it. And so the Gradle version and all the content here has also been updated. We needed to support a new Gradle version, and there was some deprecated stuff in the old one, so we needed to support those things. And then that means if we go into our CPI Cloud Foundry, we can now see that the Iflow should hopefully be in draft mode. Hey, Frederico, thanks for joining. Yeah. Hey, Cara. So yeah, we can see it is in draft. And if we found the script or resource, we have made changes to, was it, let me see, it's header 2. And if we open header 2 here, we can then see that the payload has been updated to 22. And if we just make another modification here, let's just, oh, there was actually one bug here that bothered me. So let's just move this box. Oh, edit mode. I hope it will be a nice session. So we'll just change this, and we will change the parameter on. This, I guess it's okay. We'll just change the parameter up here. Exchange property, okay, 2. So we'll save it as a version. So this is normal way that we're working on. It's 101. And we can then go back to the Figaf tool. We can synchronize all packages or specific packages. So oh, anybody else looking here? It seems like someone is having problems. I hope other guys can see it. Try to explain the OAuth 2. Nah, let's do that in another session. So here we can see that has been made some changes. We have full versioning of it, and we can transport it from in here also. Let's do that a little later. So the other thing we also had, which is pretty fun. Let's see here. This is this visual Iflow difference, which I think is a pretty nice feature in a lot of cases. So let me show you how this works. So obviously the idea is that you have cases where, well, you know, something has changed, but you don't know really what has changed, and you want to find a way that enables your developers to see what has been changed before they're doing QA of changes of it. And we do have versioning of all objects. We've had that forever, both PI and CPI. And if we do a version compare between these two things, we have a number of different options. There's the BPM model. This is just using the standard approach. And if you try this out, I guess you're a bit overwhelmed with all the differences. It's a little difficult seeing what precisely was changed between these two versions. And we also get some difference between some shapes here. Basically, really difficult to see. We have a compare here. We also have a simplified model. This makes some of the comparison a little easier. We can also see if resources has been changed between these two versions, and we can easily see just the things that matters. So we are not seeing that there was a change in the BPM model or view of this. And then for the final thing, ta-da! I hope you have a good drum roll. Here we have the option to show the diffs, and hopefully there are some. We can see the list here. We can see that this part was changed, and we are then viewing the same model as we had before, that we can see it was okay and now it's okay too. We can also see that in this box there was a change, and we can see that it is this view that was moved, and by that it also means that the full BPM model is similar to SE38. Yeah, I guess the text difference is like that. I guess this one is a little more SE80 or NetWeaver ABAP for Eclipse. So that's the graphical editor and viewer that you can see what's going on in it. And then the other thing is the API. So obviously SAP integration is not really delivering by itself, and it's not, well, it interacts with all the other things in your landscape and the things you want to do. And with that, you need to figure out how to interact. And if you can actually do all the work from either Jira, CTS Plus, or Azure DevOps, and with that, handle all the transports. And one of the things we wanted to do with this was wanted to make it possible to actually deliver both CPI, API management in just one transport. So you could say, okay, now this Jira or DevOps ticket has been resolved, and we want to deliver this to production. So let me just show you this. Questions, just put them into the chat. I hope this works. So let's go out here. So we made some changes in our BPM model. We will create a ticket for it. Live demo. And 2. We will select a specific landscape, and then we will have an external ticket number, and this will be 55. Then now one of the things we do have here is we can obviously run tests. So this is on the Cloud Foundry environment. So it's really easy just to look at the test cases, see what they are, add them, and then we can run them. But for now, this has nothing changed. So what we want to do is we want to create a transport, and that's been happening now. Sorry. So we have created a transport here in the tool, and one of the things I wanted to show is if we go to here, this is we can see the status of this ticket name, what type of ticket it is. We can see it's in transport, and we can see who has created it, and we got all this information on it. Now, we also have an option to search. If we want to transport this and say, okay, now we want to, for instance, move it to QA. And so our normal approach has just been to press import here, and that would import the request. Now we can say import to target QA, and this will actually, if we had multiple Iflows with the same value, or we had tickets that all use this external ticket ID, they could all be transported in one go. So let's see if it has been imported. Sometimes it seems like it is taking a little time for all the transport and synchronization to happen. So let's see here if it is in QA. Let's see. Not always it's going as expected here. I think one of the things we are looking at is adding logging so you can see what's going on with these things and who has imported. And so if you have approval required for transporting, it will come up and say, okay, you're trying to import this, but the message has not been approved, so you cannot transport it. So you will still be able to approve and govern these things. It will just give you some extra work in that perspective. So let's see. So now we can see it has been imported successfully. It just takes a little time. Hopefully this is just our Cloud Foundry system. Good. Back. So the next one is this custom search on header properties, and I think this is also one of the cool things. So we have our message monitor where we're able to group together a lot of messages. So I'm using the Cloud Foundry, it's new. So we have here an option here. We can specify which iflows we want to have as a part of this, and this makes it really ideal if you have a business process that is spanning multiple iflows and you want to see how this is processing. If you want to give access to specific users, this can also happen via this approach. Oh yeah, any questions, comments on the API, just put it into the chat. So once we then open this, we have a lot of UI verified tests, and the things that is most interesting is in this one. So here we can see that it is using send application ID. We have all these information here, and we have also the option here to search for documents with a specific number, and then it will run this query and it will run the same filter that you already have here. This makes it really possible to manage and govern the process, making it possible to search for customer. And then you will not see customers in all the other iflows because it is filtered also. This custom search header does not have access to give filters on other than that. So we will, with the filter, just try to make sure you're seeing the right document that you should have access to and want to see details on the status or whatever. So it will try to apply all of these different filters to it. So let's see if it works. So we have application ID here. We can add that. Now we only see the one we have, and we can also see the payloads here. Comments. So that's this custom header. Obviously, this requires that you in your iflow log these values with this Groovy code add custom header property, and then you have extracted some kind of the value that you need for this in it. Another thing we have added is the support for Tradacom. So some customers are using Tradacom, and I guess that's not really going away. Like Edifact X12, those are just too big of a part of huge companies, so they will be there. We have now added support for it, so we can do full comparison of these objects, and that means we can go and ignore specific elements and segments, or elements in the segment, sub-elements, and there we can also specify it. It doesn't matter if this one is not defined. We can set up and say that decimals should be rounded to the first two decimals or whatever you have for someone when we're running the comparison. So there's a lot of different options to ignore and compare documents. Makes it really possible to scale and improve this option. Next up is, I guess, the roadmap, some of the things that we are currently looking at and want to get into. And what I wanted also is, if you have any input, something that you see would be beneficial to add into the Figaf solution, then please put it into the chat or send me a message. I would love to get your input on how we can improve this process. So yeah, so the things I'm looking at the moment is authentication. So obviously we're going with enterprise grade applications, and everybody has some kind of single sign-on that they are implementing. So we will implement something like that for AD. So it works just like if you have connected AD for your CPI landscape, that you can use it for handling all the connection. OpenID connects, which is probably the same thing. These terms sometimes interact a little, and I'm not sure on it, but I'm sure once we get to implement it, it should be working fine. And you should have the different authentication options that you want to have. One of the other things now, so now we have created these APIs that enable you to interact with the Figaf tool externally. We will also work on creating some Azure DevOps samples on figuring out how you can actually develop, hopefully with our Git repository, transport and governing it in the process. So you're able to actually deliver CPI and API management content with a simple development process where you have all the different checks along the way, and you can add these changes along the way. One thing I'm not sure on what will be and how it will work is some kind of a landscape comparer that you can see in your development system. This object is this in QA and production, and if there's obviously the important thing is to see if you have different versions between your QA and production, and if for instance the production version has been changed and have some different fingerprints than the development version. So that's obviously an important thing to get into and figure out how to handle. If you have any comments, questions, just drop me an email, put it into the chat. I really would love to get your input on how we can improve the tool so it becomes easier to manage SAP integrations along the way. So yeah, and obviously the chat is open, and if you have questions, comments, just ping me. So yeah, you can always try it out. There's a free trial. There's figaf.com/DevOps, and there's a lot more into it. There's a virtual landscape, and we actually saw this in this presentation, where you could see that in this case, or when we're importing into the QA system, we actually reusing the same tenant. And that allow you to save a tenant. We have all the things around testing. That makes it a lot easier to test things, marking of services and stuff like that. There's the Git repository we saw here. That's also been updated, and Gradle plugins that allow you to handle these things. And with the Gradle plugin, we also separating out our authentication. So if you want to use that in your own Git repository or in your own Gradle plugins or Groovy code, you can also reuse them in some way. And then obviously the monitoring and alerting that we saw. So monitoring as we saw, and alerting. Comments, questions, put them into the chat or ping me. I do hope you want to try it out and want to see how this can help you deliver SP easier. So yeah. Did I just blur? Thanks, much better. Yes, so that was what I wanted to cover today. Thanks for joining, and thanks for being such a great crowd. And for all your comments. So yeah, and yeah, I'm still here. If you have comments, let's see if there's anything I'm missing. No, I don't know where I'm at. So yeah, thanks, and thanks for joining. I will end this broadcast.